All right. Hello, friends. I'm so excited to be back in your ears for another episode of the Anxious Creative Podcast with yours truly, Dawn Bradley. Holy cow, welcome to 2021. Oh, I can't believe it's how, what? But also, wasn't last year like a decade long? Remember in 2019 when we're like, 2020, it's going to be amazing. It's a new decade. It's a fresh start. And then literally 12 weeks into it, we were like, what in the world? Well, I'm so freaking excited to be here with you in 2021. Yes, the world looks a little bit different. It's not, 2020 was not how we expected it to go, but we are here and we freaking made it. So let's celebrate that for a second. And I want to just take a moment to thank you for being on this journey with me, coming every week and listening to The Anxious Creative. You are why I make this podcast, and I am so thankful for you and thankful for a community of people who get it, who get me, who get my mind. We're all those anxious overthinkers, overcomplicators. So I just wanted to thank you personally. Thank you. Is there a way I can make this awkward? Because I will. Anyway, you're in for a very special treat today. I have been having guests on the podcast recently if you are new here, and I have another freaking amazing guest. Her story is so cool. You are going to love it. Sam and I actually met via Instagram Live. I started going live on Instagram on weekday mornings back in around, I think, May of 2020 when we were all off work. And I was like, how can I help our community right now? So I decided to go live called Business Breakfast in Bedhead. No joke. Well, I still do. Sometimes just wake up and roll out of bed and go live. It's so much fun. And we've made so many amazing connections. And Sam is such a freaking awesome hairstylist, fellow anxious creative. And we met on the live. She is now also an alumni of my student community. And I'm so excited for you to hear her story because it is one of total transformation of inspiration, and you are going to love it. So like always, friend, buckle up and get ready for this week's episode. And make sure that you stick around till the end because I have a very exciting announcement and invitation for you. I overthink, I overshare, and I overanalyze. So come explore with me as I chat about business, life, and relationships all through the lens of an anxious creative. Welcome back to The Anxious Creative, you guys. I'm so excited for this podcast episode because I've been having so many amazing guests on, and this week is another amazing guest, obviously. I've got none other than Sam Stevens here. Welcome, Sam.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on the podcast, one, because you're just like a ray of sunshine. You're so positive. We've gotten to know each other through the internet. I can't believe we haven't met in real life. That feels weird. When we
totally.
do, it'll be like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, what? But we initially got connected through Instagram, right? I'm curious how you first found me. Is that just randomly? I don't know if we've actually talked about this conversation.
Yeah. So I actually was introduced to you through a Jamie Dana different kind of class that she did.
Yeah.
And immediately felt connected to you. So definitely Instagram, and definitely I got super, super into you and your podcast and your Business Breakfast in Bedhead in the mornings.
I love that. Yeah, I remember you popping up on the Business Breakfast in Bedhead, and I wanted to do that because we were in quarantine, we needed connection, and then I remember your name just popping up every day, and you were such a part of that community. You still are. I love it. So tell everyone because we've got so much we can chat about, but tell everyone who you are, where you're from, what's your story.
So my name is Sam Stevens, and I am from Springfield, Illinois. I am a hairstylist, booth renting, and then I'm also a new stylist educator. Just started getting into that, which is super, super fun and awesome. And then I just recently also started a bath and body product company. So it's I'm doing a lot right now, but I just can't stop. So
that's so cool. I love it so much. So when did you join the industry? What year do you know? How long have you been in the industry?
Yeah, it would have been 6 years ago.
And how did you get into it?
I was really young. So I graduated high school early, and was like, I'm doing hair. Like, I don't care. I'm going to run in to do hair full speed ahead. So I actually moved to Peoria for a year, which is about an hour away. And that was a big deal for me because I come from a small town. Went to hair school, and I'm seriously, in high school, I got terrible grades. In hair school, I mean, I had the best GPA, I had the best grades. It was just like I could not get enough. So
That's awesome. So tell everyone, because I know before you're an alumni in my program, Rock Your Business, and I know that's changed a lot, but like 6 years in, you were struggling quite a bit just to even make ends meet. Tell everyone a little bit about that, if that's okay to chat about.
oh, totally. So I actually, I've done a lot in the industry. I have started out as an apprentice where I just washed color bowls all day and did laundry, didn't really learn anything, and that was disheartening. I did that for about a year. Got out of the industry for a little bit, for about 6 months, came back in, worked at a franchise where I actually learned a lot. And then got into managing that franchise, which was awesome. But my life was very minimal. I was, I'd wake up even on my days off to make sure that the salon opened up, and everyone got to work. And I was just working my butt off, seriously. Got out of that, went to do extensions, and then ended up learning extensions. That was great. Got out of that and was like, I'm just going to do something else. I'm not making any money. I was at a commission salon and I was making 40% commission. And seriously, I could have been making more money at anywhere else. And so I, got out of that. Then I had another job and was like, I can pick up booth renting just to do hair for a hobby, in my mind, just because I love it so much and I love doing it. But in my mind, it wasn't for me to do it full time. I just couldn't. So it was hard.
Yeah. Like what was cause you probably knew you probably saw people out there making money. What was the internal dialogue of like, were you thinking like, maybe I just live in the wrong place, or like, what was the internal dialogue of like, why you weren't able to get the finances the finances weren't flowing?
Yeah. I think it was a lot of, the lack of the self-confidence that I had, and the oh, well, that person just is more fun than me, or that person just is so good with their clients, and that their clients just love them, and I've never really had a client that just loves me. And it was a lot of a self-confidence thing, and that is so important in the industry, I think, to have that self-confidence and that self-value and worth that I just lacked entirely.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel like you just like hit the nail on the head with that, because that's so true. It's like it wasn't until I started kind of like I always call it like zipping up the suit of confidence around me. Like not I didn't feel confident, but I put the suit on and wore it until it started to feel comfortable, and
Yeah.
that's when things started to change. So had you kind of just written off like, okay, this will be I love doing hair, but it just doesn't seem to be the thing that's gaining traction to help me create a career and an income from it. Had you kind of written it off?
Yeah, and that's really hard to say because I pretty much, since I was in junior high, wanted to do hair. I mean, it
Mm,
was a deep, deep passion, and yet I couldn't connect with the people like I needed to,
right.
and I think that was all internally in my head. But when it's in your head, it comes out your mouth, if that makes sense. I
You're talking to the
mean,
queen of awkward here.
yeah.
So
And as much as people would tell me, fake it till you make it, but I think there's a time and a place for that. But there's a lot of times not a place for that, because as much as
totally.
you try and fake it, you're not being your actual genuine self. And
Yeah,
people pick up on that so quick.
absolutely. Absolutely. So let's fast forward to quarantine. You're probably like, okay, I'm just going to like play with mannequin hair at this point, because like you can't make an income during quarantine. You find business breakfast in bedhead. Like walk me through. I remember, because this is my favorite part, you would watch it with somebody, and tell everyone that part of the story, because I remember you like typing it in like they're right here beside, like I don't want to give it away, but you would watch
Yeah.
business breakfast in bedhead. Share that story.
So over quarantine was addicted to business breakfast and bedhead. Every morning I was like ready for that. And that's truly like what got me out of bed because there
Oh,
was really no purpose, to get up. And so I would get up, watch business and breakfast and bedhead with my boyfriend, who also would be learning from it. And he does not do hair. And two, I don't think even wanted to get into it. But like the more you hear Dawn speak, the more inspired you are.
oh,
So he would watch it with me. And I remember hearing about Rock Your Business. And of course, the first time you hear about it, when Dawn's talking about it, you're kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, that's for the cool girls. And that's for the girls that are
little
already
did you
making like
know.
the good money. You're immediately just like, oh, okay, that's really cool. But that's for like people who already make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then the more and more I was listening to Business Breakfast in Bedhead, my business started to change from your free education, let
Mm-hmm.
alone the program. And so it was probably like at least 2 months out that I'd say that I had decided, okay, I'm going to start saving up for the big program, Rock Your Business. I had already gotten a ton of your other programs too. I think I own every single one.
I love it.
um, yeah, but I just knew that the way my business was changing just with the free education you were giving, it was a no brainer. I had to do it.
Wow. And so I love because one of the things that you mentioned to me is like the biggest thing that changed was your communication skills. And like, because we were just talking about like, you know it in your head, but it all comes out weird. Like I totally relate, like everything just like that comes out of my mouth. And I'm like, that sounded way different than what I intended it to sound like. And how do I become a better communicator? And that's just one like module out of the 6 inside of Rock Your Business. But I'm curious, like what kind of like well you said the communication, but like what kind of like ahas did you get from the program?
Um, one of the biggest ones truly is that you are not for everybody. And that hit me so hard because some people you just can't communicate with as you can with other
Mhm.
people. And that is okay. And that is something you really have to accept and be like, okay, I need to find the people for me specifically
Mhm.
that, smile like I do and are a positive person and all these things, and realize that some of those people that sit in your chair, like it's not going to be for you. And that doesn't mean that like you need to feel bad about yourself,
Yeah.
because I feel like we have a lot of like pressure to impress every single client that comes in and connect with them and just vibe right away. And like realistically, that is not how that works.
No. And like we aren't friends with everyone. So why would we assume that every client would want to be our client? Right? Or and I always say you can be
Exactly.
like the most talented hairstylist out there, but someone can still want like a 1980s perm, right? And they're not gonna like the way you do hair, even though you're the most talented. I love that that's like one of your
Exactly.
biggest takeaways. That's so cool. So
Yeah.
walk me through like how if I don't know if I didn't even ask you this before we started recording, but like how much money were you making before and how much are you making now? Are you willing to share that? If not, that's totally okay.
Oh, totally. So before Rock Your Business and Business Breakfast in Bedhead, I was seriously breaking even and just doing this for a hobby and for fun and because I enjoyed doing hair. And for
Mhm.
some reason, which I find hilarious, I was doing hair for a hobby, doing it for fun, and yet I would come home and have after a terrible client and be crying because I just couldn't, please them and all this stuff that looking back, it's like, girl, you weren't even making any money off of that person.
Yeah,
You
why were
weren't
you so
actually making
invested?
money. Why were you so invested in that? So
Mhm.
looking back, it's like, oh my gosh, there were so many problems that I had like within myself that I needed to change. And once I started hearing it from your mouth was kind of when I was like,
Mm.
okay, yeah, I need to deep dive into like who I am as a person and what I want and actually give a shit about myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so so when I look at my income now, it's totally different. I actually after starting all the courses, was able to like leave that other job because they specifically wanted Saturdays, and I said, "Girl, I need my Saturdays."
Good for you. I love that.
Yeah. And so I left that job. I do full time behind the chair. I'm a booth renter, and
Yay.
work for myself. I have the best work life balance. I work like 3.5 days a week, and that's like what I want to work. I don't want to work any more than that.
Yeah.
And I'm making in the thousands more than what I was before. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in the thousands. With COVID, of course, it's kind of still a gamble, but
Hmm.
because people cancel because of COVID, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that.
Yeah.
But truly, I mean, I've just seen my client list grow. My email marketing list has grown, and so I'm able to reach out to my clients that maybe I've had once, and then a few months down the road, I'll send them an email and they're coming back to me. It's like amazing.
I freaking love that because I know there's people out there that are like thinking, well, yeah, like I want to invest in a program, but like it's COVID and everything's so unpredictable. I can't spend money on my business right now. And you freaking did it in the mid, in like the thick of it. You invested in yourself in July of 2020, just in case someone's listening to this podcast episode in like 3 years, in July of 2020, just after coming back after having, did you have 12 weeks off? Were you quarantined for?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you invested in your business and you're making thousands more, even with the new restrictions, even with working 3.5 days a week. You're not coming home and crying in the bathroom anymore. Like, I don't,
Never.
do you ever like kind of zoom out and go, holy shit, like I took a really big risk, people would say. It's not really a risk now that you look back on it, in the middle of a pandemic to like invest in your business, but it worked out so well. And like, can you see like how huge that is? Where most people are playing it safe and scared.
Oh yeah. I specifically, so I'm kind of a hair nerd. So I'm part of some different hairstylist forums on Facebook,
Hmm.
and seeing their complaints and what they are wondering what to do about certain situations. I mean, every single time I see it, I feel like I have an answer. Oh, well, try this because this is what I do and this works great. And check out Dawn Bradley. She's awesome.
Aw.
So zooming out, you know, it never ends, especially my personal growth. It will never end. And I'm always working on like self value and things like that. But like zooming out, I'm just like so glad I'm not where I was before. And that's the most important thing in the world to me is like, okay, even if I have a bad day, or even if, I'm not like this like featured hairstylist, I'm still like where I personally am proud of being.
Mm-hmm. Can you imagine like if you in July you would have been like, it's just too risky. I can't spend the money. And you decided not to, like you'd still be, the business breakfast in bed would still help you, but you still might have been coming home and crying. You still might have just been breaking even. Like, and I think that's the biggest thing is like, and I always try to communicate this to people is like, you have to spend money to make money sometimes. You have to make sure you're really assessing what you're buying because there's a lot of like iffy marketing out there that you don't
Yes.
get what you pay for, right? And that's why I always want to have people's personal stories. I don't want people, I'm always like, please don't listen to me, right? Listen to someone else who's been through it. But
Yeah.
like I think you just need to give yourself a huge pat on the back because it would the easiest thing to do would have been to like, maybe next year when like this COVID thing's over, then I'll invest in my business. But truly you would have missed out on thousands of dollars if you waited longer, right?
Oh yeah. And honestly, I would have missed out on all the personal growth I've made because of things that you've said too. And that to me almost is like more valuable.
Oh,
That like who I am as a person now, I
right.
enjoy way more than who I was before. And I'm happy about the money, and the money's awesome. And like if you're looking to grow your business, like Rock Your Business is the way to do it. But if you're also looking to kind of like personally grow, then Dawn Bradley is 100% the way to go.
Guys, I did not prompt her to say that whatsoever. I'm just like, wow. So, what would Sam today, December 2020, as we're recording this, What would you say to Sam 6 years ago?
I would say it's not what it's all cracked up to be right now, but that is okay. Just keep
Hmm.
going.
Hmm.
I would probably tell myself, don't leave the industry because it is worth it. And
Yeah.
as much as these other jobs will show you, like, oh, you get $15 an hour here and it's consistent and you get benefits and all this stuff, the it doesn't add up. Like, it's not ever going to add up to the hair industry and how impactful it is on your life.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, what are you up to these days now? Tell me
Um,
what I'm like getting
I
positioned.
I am so I just started a education for new hairstylists, just because I had such a rocky start,
Hmm.
and I really feel for other hairstylists that will go through that.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, okay, I will be your guiding hand to show you, let me hook you up with the forums on Facebook. Let me hook you up with different educators for color and things like that, because that's
Mhm.
not really me. I don't want to do placement and formulas and things like that, because there's so much of that out there. I want to be the educator for, let me guide you and hold your hands through the beginning of your industry, and like let you know that, one, it's going to be worth it, and two, if you're somewhere that you aren't happy or feeling uncomfortable, I want to give you that self value to be able to get up and
Mhm.
walk away. And so any struggling new hairstylist can come to me, and I will help you out with anything that I can. I try to be my most genuine self, and I have no ties to brands or anything like that. I'm my own independent education, which I think is really, really powerful.
I love that because yeah, your hands aren't tied to having to say something one certain way at all. And I feel like there is a missing piece right now. Like we've got so much support while people are in cosmetology school, and then it's really intimidating to enter in. I remember my first day in the salon being like, who are these people? They're all staring at me. I don't have nice enough clothes because I'm broke. And like feeling and like, what am I supposed to do? Am I in the way? And like, I went to college and I felt like I was top dog when I graduated, but like now I feel like I'm bottom of the totem pole. And I feel like there's such a need for that confidence built and like just someone for a new stylist to turn to and be like, help, right? So I think that's
Yeah.
amazing. So for any
Mhm.
new stylists that are listening, how can they get connected with you, Sam?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Hair by Sam Stevens.
I love that. And you've been going into hair schools and stuff and teaching, haven't you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's been so fun. I love actually going in and talking with students that, they're so passionate about the industry and they're so excited, and just giving them that one up when they're in hair school. Because I don't
Mhm.
think this type of stuff is talked about in hair school enough. It's all, okay, we're going to learn foiling today and
Yeah.
this and that. But do you really know what it's actually going to be like in the salon? Because I didn't at all.
No, me neither. I was like, why am I dusting like sweeping the floors and washing so many color bowls?
Yeah, for a whole
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. And then I wasn't until I was like, I'm sick of this crap that I took it into my own hands to be like, oh, it's not my boss doesn't owe it to me to get people in my chair. I have to get
Mhm.
people in my chair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I love that. So well, this is one question. This is a question I'm trying to remember to ask everybody on the podcast now. It's really, really important. So listen, nuggets or nachos, what would you pick?
Nachos,
Oh.
100%. I just had nachos last night.
Ooh, I think I'm gonna go get nuggets right after we record this. We were talking about that before we press record.
Yeah, I love McDonald's. Truly, I do. I have not tried a McRib yet, but I'd love to try it sometime.
It really just depends on my mood if it's like more nuggets. And then someone was like, "What about nuggets on nachos?" And I was like, "That sounds amazing."
That sounds, yeah,
Yeah. And
would love
actually,
that.
Casey, I think you know Casey from Rock Your
Hmm.
Business. She's like, Don, you need to try the Chick-fil-A, which we don't have Chick-fil-A in Canada.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
it's like a biscuit with a nugget in it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like carb heaven. I love it.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Okay. That was a really important thing that I wanted to make sure that we covered before
Glad
anything
we did
else.
that.
Yeah. Where do you think you'll be in 5 years? Now we go
Oh,
from a really light question to where do you think what can we expect to see Sam do in the next year and in the next 5 years?
in the next 5 years, I would actually, you know, probably a year ago, I would say I want to have my own salon and all that. I want to go that path. Now I want to be just like the best educator for new stylists in the freaking industry. That is the goal. I mean, I want new stylists to be like, oh, okay, I want hairstylists to tell the students, like, yeah, you need to go to Sam because she'll be honest with you and she will definitely be there for you no matter what. And that education is definitely a passion of mine, and even more so now. So
I love that. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for being such an amazing person in general. Like, I love seeing you pop up on Business Breakfast and Bedhead. I love seeing you in the alumni community. I don't know if people realize, like, when you join Rock Your Business, you do not get rid of me. Like, we have the alumni and you only pay once, which is really cool, as you buy it and you
Mhm.
get the community forever. Have you made some friendships and connections in the community?
Oh yeah, the community. I was actually going to talk about that because the community in itself is a reason to join Rock Your Business.
Mhm.
The stylists on there are going to be just as passionate as you are, and they're going to be, they actually care. I have made tons of connections. Casey, actually, I love Casey. I love Sarah. There's just so many of them that it's like I am so happy to even see them pop up on my timeline or whatever. So
Yeah.
the value I've gotten from that in itself is just phenomenal.
And I'm curious because you say you've been, and I haven't pre-asked Sam this question, so I have no idea what the answer is. But you said you're in a lot of groups already. How does the Rock Your Business group? How are the people different there than other groups?
Oh yeah, so the biggest answer to that is just that they're ahead of the game already.
Mm.
Even starting out in the group, I mean, they seriously are so much more passionate and they have so much more figured out. And a lot of them have, if you're going through something, a lot of them have been there, done that. So you're
Mhm.
able to be like, hey, what do I need to do? And you get true, genuine, honest answers instead of just like, oh, yeah, I know someone who did this and it was fine. They're looking for success and they're looking for greatness just like you are.
Yeah. You know what I love too? It's like a group of like very humble people that are willing to be vulnerable. And it's not like, because when I've joined groups before, I've been intimidated and I'm a lurker. Like,
Mhm.
and I like started this hashtag in the stress free community that I just start calling not a lurker. I'm like, I know we want to lurk, but we got to participate. But I was always like, people are going to think I'm stupid. People are going to think I'm dumb. This is probably a question
Mhm.
that nobody else asked. Everyone probably has this figured out. And what I love about the community is everyone can come regardless of whether brand new in the industry or 20 years in, and they can just like vomit all their stress and worries out, and everyone like comes around them and supports them, and you don't have to be scared to be yourself there.
I would say for the people listening that are considering Rock Your Business, just know that the people in the community are people that are similar to Dawn. So if you feel like you connect to Dawn because she's sweet and she's genuine and she's herself and she's not
Aw.
like fake at all, those are the type of people she's attracting to Rock Your Business.
Mm.
And so I think that's really important to know. Like if you feel like you connect with Dawn, you're going to connect with everyone else in the group.
Yeah, we're just a giant group of like goofballs that are
Yeah.
passionate, kind of lazy. So we are like, how can we be the most strategic?
Yeah. Agreed.
Like no more hustle. Like I saw a post the other day that was saying like, if you want what everyone else isn't getting, you have to work harder, you have to work later, you have to come in more often. And I was like, hell no. Like
Mhm.
let's continue to be lazy and strategic and show up intentionally. And that's what I love hearing about your story is like you took what I gave you, you applied it. It wasn't hard, but it was uncomfortable, right?
Mhm.
Like you got
Yeah.
yourself a little uncomfortable, which is important for growth, and you're freaking killing it. I love it, Sam. So I
Yeah.
can't wait. Like it's been 6 months since you joined a program that has changed the trajectory.
Yep.
Yeah, that word that I'm trying to say, of not only your
Mhm.
career but your life.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to check in with you in another 6 months and another 6 months after that and just like see, because it's not, I think, I don't know, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but like lots of times, like I'll start something and get excited about it for a couple weeks and then it'll die off. And I'm curious, what has kept the slow and steady incline for you? What has kept you from like falling off and being like inspired and then being like, oh, I'll just drop it? Because you seem to have a slow, steady climb over the last 6 months.
Yeah, I'll say another one of my biggest fears with joining Rock Your Business was that I would be like so into it for the first few weeks and then be like, I've got this, put it to
Mm,
the side.
that's me.
Um, yeah. The accountability of having Dawn and the community is what keeps
Yeah.
me going. Seriously, without them, and even without like the emails that say, hey, we have a meeting tomorrow, if you don't go, you feel bad. So you kind of just keep, because you'll be lazy, wake up that day and be like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then, once you go, you're just feeling so inspired every time. And
Yeah.
so I think just having actual real people there for you is like what has kept me going.
It's like all your new best friends. Oh,
Yes.
well, Sam, I'm so incredibly impressed and proud of everything that you've done. Hats off to you because, it's one thing to have, I always say I'm addicted to learning, but allergic to implementing. And you
Mhm.
truly took everything you could and implemented it, and you're continuing to grow. So, everyone, please go connect with Sam on Instagram or Facebook. It's Hair by Sam Stevens. Did I remember that
Hair by
correctly?
Sam Stevens. Yep.
Hair by Sam Stevens. No underscores or anything like that.
No, nothing
No.
crazy, really simple.
If you've listened to this and if she's inspired you or you just want to be her friend, shoot her a DM. Let her know that you were listening. Sam, thank you so much again for taking time out of your day to come chat with us at The Anxious Creative. You're such a ray of sunshine, and I love getting to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. Bye, guys.
Bye.